What do you guys feel about like the Christian books out there?
Get over yourself. You're not better, and they're not better than you.
If you're coming onto Instagram to feel validated about everything in your life, or to feel like everyone in the world is kind of catering to your own needs and your hurts,
Healthy drink.
I think it's important to address the fact that, and Andrea touched on it earlier too, that like in Christian circles, marriage is apparently like this level of holiness that only married people can reach, of course. And so that really damages, I think, the perspective that people have on them, on their own lives. This empty goal to live up to, like, I have to find someone to fill this spot in my life. And ultimately, it is Jesus that we're trying to find, and he's there, but we're ignoring that and thinking that, yeah, no, I have to find fulfillment through my future spouse. And if it's not my future spouse, then it's my career. If it's not that, it's travel, adventure, money, whatever it is. Is it a cop-out to blame Christian culture? No, I don't think so. Because Christian culture is not necessarily biblical culture.
Yeah. Well, we create Christian culture too. Like, people always want to say, oh, society does this, but we are society. Like, we've created this culture. Maybe not me individually right now, but I have to take responsibility because I am a participant in this culture.
What do you guys feel about like the Christian books out there that like talk about this subject? Any comments on books that you've read? Or is this subject not mentioned in any of these books, the awkwardness? I feel like it's not, to be honest.
I don't think it is. There's like 1,000,001 books about marriage, which there should be. Like, it's good that there are books on marriage. But I've only read one book about singleness.
Is it the Sam
Alberry's book? I like it because it comes from a single person. I don't really like reading books or getting resources about singleness from married people. Not that they don't have anything to bring to the conversation. It's like a white person writing a book about like Black history or something. Like, it's fine, but I'd rather get it from a Black person. Jackie Hill Perry is the exception though. She's the one married person that she could talk about singleness all day, and I'll gobble up every content that she kind of puts out. So yeah, that Sam Alberry's book is good, but his like philosophy of community doesn't really jive with my philosophy. He's really like, incorporate me into your life. Like, I want to tuck your kids into bed at night. You can fight in front of me. I'm not really down for all of that. I don't want to tuck your kids in. Like, you don't have to be fake in front of me, but I don't really want to see all of that.
Oh, we fight in front of Jill all the time.
Obviously, there's limits to how like you should involve us in your life.
Yeah, I feel like that this dynamic that we're talking about is really only talked about in books that are about community. The books on singleness and marriage are very self-focused. No books that I know that talk about the dynamic. The umbrella term would be like people with different lives than you. That's what all it is. Like, how to live and have community with people who are different from you. Ultimately, that's what it is. And what I think it comes down to is get over yourself. You're not better, and they're not better than you. Yeah, they might have things that you want, and you might have things that they want. But at the foot of the cross, we're all equal. So ultimately, that is what brings us together, or should.
I think the articles on singleness, or like the articles for single people, usually focus on serving married people, which I think is good and healthy. But I don't know that the articles and books about marriage focus on serving single people.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. And doesn't that suck?
It does, yeah. Because again, the way to serve is usually like babysit. I think that's really the only thing that I can really pinpoint is single people should babysit and take care of the kids of married people so they can go out and like nurture their relationship. Which is for a couple that doesn't have kids, and how am I supposed to serve and encourage them? One point. And then again, on the other side, how are married people being encouraged to serve and care for single people? I don't think we have much discussion
unless
on that.
It's the elderly single people.
Elderly
not like,
and widows.
Yeah.
So interesting. I never thought about that. That's annoying.
Yeah. Well, I guess it just means that we need to write articles and books.
I guess. Create more content.
Yeah, you guys have
podcasts.
so much time on your hands.
I
You're
mean,
single,
really, nothing else to do.
You have nothing else to do. Nothing else in your life matters. Yeah, just write about singleness.
All the time.
All the time.
Actually, within the Christian culture, this is what I get often. Oh, you should read this book. You should read this book. But they always project the books on singleness or disciplines of a godly woman, like how to be a godly woman in preparation of being a wife, like Proverbs 31.
Yeah, see, in preparation of being a wife, that's always the agenda.
That's a term that I really hate, is the not yet married. There are way more women in the world than there are men, first of all. There are also way more women in the church than there are men. So there's going to be a good chunk of women that are not going to get married. So the concept, the not yet married, it's like, again, we're waiting for something that is guaranteed. Jesus never guaranteed us marriage. It's not one of the promises that he's left for us. So I feel like that's a term that we need to just get rid of.
Yeah,
That's a word.
Wait, isn't that a book?
It's a free book. It's called The Not Yet Married on Desiring God. And actually, I read that. It's like a two-parter. And the first part does talk about like his journey of singleness. But a lot of it was from single to married. This is how it led to my journey of being married. Like, that's what it felt like. Those are the kind of books that are pointed my way versus like them being like, oh, you should read this very excellent theological book on not singleness and not being a godly woman. I love the books that people give me. Is kind of like, oh, what is their hidden meaning behind this book?
I know there's one on cleanliness. I was like, Jill, you need to... How to organize your life as a single woman.
So I think that's also interesting. They're serving me in keeping me hopeful that I will one day reach that level, or
like there's still hope for you. I have hope. It's in Jesus. I don't need no man. Like, and this is coming from a married person. I know it sounds weird, but like as a married person, even okay, no, hold on. Let me try to word this. Sorry, Bailey's.
She's disagreeing.
Okay,
she's upset.
No, okay. The way a single person. The way a single person has to like stop themselves from idolizing their boyfriend is the same issue that I deal with. As a married person, I have to stop myself from, and we mentioned this before, looking to my husband to fulfill my loneliness, to fulfill whatever it is that I feel like he can fix. He's not my savior.
Yeah, I don't remember who, I feel like somebody said this before, that we look at getting married as the antidote to idolizing marriage. But even when you're married, you can still idolize marriage. So I think that's the like shift that we have to make. Getting married is not going to fix the problems that you have in your relationship with Jesus or your lack of contentedness. Fixing your eyes on Jesus is what gets rid of that idol of marriage, regardless of how that season of your life changes.
Yeah. Ultimately, like, to be frank, the only thing that marriage changes about anything that you struggle with is like purity. And even then, people still struggle with purity in marriage.
One aspect of purity, yeah.
Bailey, chill.
Yeah, blame it on Bailey.
It was. Gosh, I hate having a dog. See, can't complain about that. Okay.
Wait, no, you can complain about it.
Okay.
Do you feel affirmed?
Yeah, so I posted like something on Instagram that talked about how there are things that I struggled with when I was single that I still struggle with when I got married, and that marriage didn't fix those things. And I got like a few comments that were like, said it sounded snarky. And maybe it's like the way I presented it. And that's when I had to really think, I'm like, okay, I do need to be careful about how I portray myself on social media. And I think that's something that, okay, for example, if you know that one of your closest friends just had a miscarriage, you're going to be sensitive to the fact of posting your pregnancy test on there, right?
Yeah.
Bailey
Just has something to say.
Stop. So annoying. In the same way, because I know that there are single people who are struggling with X, Y, and Z, I keep them in mind when I'm posting things on social media.
Not posting your like pregnancy test with a miscarriage is like a whole different context from not posting pictures with your wedding pictures, or not posting about how appreciative you are of your spouse. Some people wear singleness as like that is their wound. I don't necessarily think that's the healthiest way to look at it. I think if that's your perspective, then you need to do some introspection on how you can address your own perspective on singleness. I don't necessarily think it's your married friends that need to kind of walk on eggshells around you.
Like, I get what you mean. I think that's where the question is, like, how do we know we're being too sensitive?
Yeah. Putting myself in the shoes of a married person, I feel like I would just want to throw my phone if I had to think about every time I post something related to my relationship. I have to like be careful. Is this going to upset someone? Because then
I think that.
Oh, no, that's sorry. That's exhausting.
I always think about that, and I think that's just might be the people-pleasing aspect of me, but...
Yeah, I think we can be overly sensitive on the single side. Because I think a lot of people get very upset that, like, social media only posts the highlights of people's lives. Like, we need to share about the downs so that people don't think my life is perfect. But the purpose of something like Instagram or Facebook is to show the good parts of my life. I'm not taking pictures of myself when I'm crying at 3 a.m, or, you know, when my loved one has died. I'm not there with the camera like, oh, I'm grieving. That's not what this tool was devised for. It's meant for a very specific thing. So I think we've expected it to be something that it's not. We've expected it to be a place that validates all of our vulnerabilities, that allows us to be vulnerable. But Instagram is not a place that's meant for you to be vulnerable. Vulnerability requires trust and a safe relationship. So I think that's something that we also have to like manage our expectations. If you're coming onto Instagram to feel validated about everything in your life, or to feel like everyone in the world is kind of catering to your own needs and your hurts, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Yeah, I don't want to be insensitive to people, but...
No, that's really interesting. Example, Chrissy Teigen. It's different because she's a celebrity. You know, with her grieving and with her losing her baby, like she posted a picture of herself crying, like mid-crying, to kind of validate the fact that people can be real on social media. But in that sense, I've talked to a friend who like... she just scrolls past people who have like a picture of their family and then a long caption of some of the deep hurts that they're going through or struggles that they're going through. And I'm like guilty of this. I've like said like, you know, my life is not perfect, but here's a nice picture of me and my husband. And then putting like a long caption of like the struggles we go through. And I remember like a single friend who's now engaged and is going to get married. She actually said to me, married people paint like a terrible picture of what marriage is like, because they're always talking about how hard it is. They're always talking about how much they struggle. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
It is supposed to be a highlight reel. Like when you have your family photo album, you don't have the picture of you when you had the flu and you were sick. You don't want to put that in there. So,
but why do I feel like I have to?
We wanted it to be the place where everyone is real and raw. We want it to be the place where I can be my 100% honest self. But this is a business. It's a business that's meant to cultivate a sense of happiness and like feeling good. The real raw like life to life stuff is meant to happen in real life, in the Zoom call that you have, in the phone call that you have. So again, like everyone says, I don't want to make my life look perfect on Instagram. You thinking that this person's life is perfect, that's your problem. You're not supposed to think that the person's life is perfect. Instagrammers and people posting have taken on that responsibility of making other people feel better about what they're posting. But you are the one who's in control of the mentality that you have when you're scrolling. So you should be telling yourself, this is a great picture of this family. If I feel like I'm missing out on something and I feel like my life is terrible, let me go and address what's wrong in my life, what's wrong with my mentality, instead of waiting for that person to post something that's saying my life is not perfect to let me know. Like I should know your life is not perfect.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
That's good.
I've been thinking about this for a long time, so I could rant about it for ages, but yeah.